Good morning, and I make you welcome to another great episode of Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. We'll start off today with our newspapers, and right after that, in a jiffy, would be our main conversation also for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We have with us joining us via Zoom, Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right.
Yes, my pleasure.
All right. So let's start off today with the Daily Trust newspaper. And we have on the top strip here, recharging Lake Chad critical to war against terror in the northeast of Nigeria. And that's coming from the CDS. From bandits den to Hall of Fame, Yawuri girls excel in JAMB. I would love to believe that the just concluded controversial UTME was favorable to this to the girls that were once kidnapped in the northern part of Nigeria. But let's take a look at other matters here. Salah, prices of rams may go up as Niger bans livestock export. And other interesting stories here. APC, PDP, LP in coalition against Tinubu. And that's coming from Atiku Abubakar. Emeka Madunagu, this is coming straight from Atiku Abubakar, stating that the APC, I do not know what faction of the APC it is, or he is referring to, but he said the PDP and the Labour Party are coming together to oust President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How possible is that submission by Atiku Abubakar?
Yeah, well, he's a seasoned politician, a veteran politician. So when he says things like this, it makes sense to to not dismiss it with a wave of the hand. Of course, there are people in APC who are not happy with President Bola Tinubu. Forget about the fact that he's dispensing favors here and there. The favors are not getting to everybody. He removed subsidy, removed money from the poor and gave to the people in government and gave to his cronies. That is the simplest explanation about subsidy removal and floating of the naira. That's all he did. Of course, he once said it, that he would slow down the economy. He will reduce purchasing power and he will increase taxes. And that is what he has done. Telling us they will improve power and all that. It's all just falsehood. Because it's part of the high taxes that Nigerians have to pay. Suffer power supply, so make alternative arrangements for power supply. It's part of Tinubu's agenda. Yes, let him counter me and let's see. All of these things you see. They're part of what he said himself, that he will slow down the economy. And that is why you see his cronies, bank directors and all of that. They're getting fatter, they're getting richer.
But what economic sense, Emeka, what economic sense does it really make for somebody to slow down the economy? Knowing the economy is the engine room, what sense does it make?
No. Look. In the Western world, economic empowerment is considered as a tool, as a major tool, for government to try. But here, impoverishment of the people, is what Nigerian politicians depend on, because they believe that, if they give the people just barely enough to survive, then the rascally elements among them, use them as thugs, as touts on the streets, and all of that, that they can keep the people loyal to them. It's a diabolical scheme, but that is what we are seeing today. So, and there are people who are not happy with it. The fact that, Tinubu continues to take care of himself, his wife, his immediate family, his friends, his cronies, and they're also in APC. They are not happy that, Tinubu continues to weaponize nepotism, weaponize, poverty. It's deliberate. Don't believe them when they tell you that they don't know what to do. It's a lie. They know what to do, but they don't want to do it. I can challenge them anywhere. They know what to do. They don't want to do it. They have deliberately kept Nigerians poor so that they can continue. They have kept Nigerians poor and divided so that they can continue to cling to power. I think who is saying that too, is also a part of the system. None is better than the other because they all had opportunities to make this country better, but they did not use those opportunities. And that is why we find ourselves where we are. Can you imagine Nigerian Republic? What is the size of Nigerian Republic compared to Nigeria? Now banning export of livestock. And then we say that the price of salaries will go up because of that. These things are deliberate. These things are not a mistake. These people sit down and plan these things. Instead of planning how to improve quality of life, these people plan how to keep Nigerians talking, groaning about poverty. Groaning about poverty. They know what they are doing. When they pretend that they don't know that they cannot do this or that, it's a lie. When they pretend that they cannot curb insecurity, it's a big lie. It's a big lie. How come suddenly the Air Force telling us yesterday that they were able to rout ISWAP insurgents, as they tried to attack a base, somewhere in Borno State? How come they just suddenly woke up? Where have they been? All these things are orchestrated. All these things are deliberate. All these things are deliberate, my brother. Until Nigerians wake up and take their destiny in their hands, these people will continue to treat us like dirt. They'll continue to treat us like garbage. That is what is going on.
Well, it's actually very, very
the coalition, like Atiku said, is a part of the coalition, and they are all, they all know how over the years they have manipulated elections. So of course they know what happened in 2023. You've seen what happened in JAMB, the so-called glitches. Of course, this was exactly what happened in 2023 when the RM went up. Exactly, just to explain to you what happened in 2023. And so they know all these devious tricks that they've used to keep the people down. Let them face themselves. But I hope that in the end, that the Nigerian people will triumph. That's my hope.
We hope that the Nigerian people will triumph at the end of the day, because one would wonder, the importance of the coalition, knowing that every single person possibly on that particular coalition had one time opportunity to make that community better than it is supposed to be. But of course, they've all failed woefully to make that possible.
No, the exception is, perhaps, Peter Obi. Let the truth be told. So, the exception is Peter Obi as governor of Anambra State.
So why did you single out Peter Obi? It wasn't El Dorado. It wasn't El Dorado for Anambra State when he was there.
No, let me tell you, there can't be El Dorado anywhere in the world. Even the richest countries in the world have issues with equality, have issues with certain socio-economic indices. What I'm talking about is somebody who at least went out deliberately to change the lives of the people of his state, and as reference, it's all over the internet. I'm not the one making it up. It's all over the internet. Even the Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo, who, is fond of antagonizing Peter Obi, actually said it during the ABGA, the governorship debate in 2013 or so. He said it. He said it in some years ago, actually, I think 2021, he said so. Yes, he said so, that Peter Obi reduced poverty in Anambra State. So the thing is this: why haven't the others done better? Peter Obi said one thing. He said, I govern Anambra State with the mentality of a trader. You are a professor. Go and do better. You govern with the mentality of a professor. I've left the place. You continue. So that's the difference.
That's the difference, actually. Very, very true. But let's take a look at other matters coming from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. 2027 APC, PDP, same story, actually. PDP, APC, Labour Party involved in Unseat Tinubu coalition, and that's coming from Atiku Abubakar. And equally, UTME glitches, Obi Ezekwesili orders worry over impact on students and their parents. And also, still on another matter here, bandits attack, abduct Kogi monarch. from palace. But of course, we have a developing story, which of course we had in the past. After the election of the new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th, we have it that he has invited Tinubu to inauguration in Rome as led by Bishop Kuka. Emeka Madunago, it's one of the biggest stories right now on social media, and Nigerians have wondered why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would make himself present in such an occasion. I know, of course, he has the right. Diplomacy demands that he should be there. But one would ask, is that of immediate importance, really?
Well, we should know that the Pope is also a head of state. He's the head of state of a sovereign nation. The Vatican is also a nation. So, I mean, the inauguration of the Pope, it's just like the inauguration of the U.S. president, or, I mean, the Nigerian president and all of that. So it's statutory, for heads of state and government around the world to be invited to such occasions. So I don't see anything wrong with that. He's going to attend. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's just also, excuse me, for Nigeria to show up on the global stage. Because I think Tinubu has now decided to do hands-on diplomatic engagement in the absence of ambassadors and high commissioners around the world.
He's doing the job now for them.
that is a sad comedy. That's a sad comedy, And then you now leave the follow-up for junior officers in the embassies and high commissions, and that tells you how seriously we take our international engagements.
It's very sad. Very sad, Rebecca. But let's take a look at other matters here. It's more of a contradiction here. Defection. We don't want Nigeria becoming one-party state. And that's coming from the APC. Remember Ganduje, the one representing the party as chairman today, had at one point in time stated just last week that he would love Nigeria to be a one-party state, like he said we have it in China. But of course, the APC as a body have come out to say that it is not supposed to be so, that they will not allow a one-party state in Nigeria as a result of the defection. So does that mean that Ganduje does not understand what he is talking about?
No, he knows what he's talking about. But when he was reminded that China also executes corrupt politicians like himself, suddenly he realized that he had been talking too much. No. Let's go to the one-party state. I want us to adopt the Chinese model. Look, one-party state, with a leader who will line up corrupt politicians and execute them. No. That's what I want. I mean, that's what we will not mind, having such here. Let's have a one-party state, but let's have a one-party state that will line up all these criminals, collect our money from them, and get them executed. Because Ganduje, as the national chairman of APC, is higher than the secretary. So let us since they've been enjoying the defections now. They are the ones who have been, and they said they have even trumpeted it that yes, they are going to a one-party state. But we reminded them, when Ganduje actually forgot himself and talked unnecessarily. If you are just talking about one-party states, fine. We'll be wondering where. But now that he has made an allusion to China, we are looking forward to that one-party state that will ensure that all these criminals in power are lined up and executed. And, the money they looted recovered from them. Thank you.
Very, very true. But let's take a look at, just before we call it a day for this particular segment, the Punch newspaper for today. We have interesting stories here. Service chiefs tour military base after terror attacks. Parents fear WAEC UTME overlap as a result. As a receipt begins today. Economic strain. Inflation surges above 30% in Abuja. 10 states. Food inflation hits 51.8% in Benue amid persistent insecurity. I know we've talked about this a dozen of times here, Emeka, especially as regards the president not in any way trying to stimulate economic growth in Nigeria, especially with regards to food and its availability. to every Nigerian. But a situation where, of all states, the food basket of the Federation, Benue State is lacking. It's totally going down. Food inflation is an all-time high in Benue State. Isn't that a disturbing issue?
It's very disturbing. It's very disturbing because the people of Benue State, like Plateau State, have been more involved in securing their lives, in staying alive. They've been more involved in survival than in engaging in economic activities. And that tells a lot about, the incompetence of the governor of the state, Hyacinth Alia. And then the refusal of the Tinubu administration to take necessary steps to deal with the Fulani herdsmen who are behind all the mess. They told us now that they are building a ranch, they are building a Ruga settlement in Wase local government. They just showed us some photographs of tractors running up. You see, Nigerian politicians are just deliberate about the destruction of this nation. They have nothing to offer. They just make special promises. When they get into office, they just be wondering, what have we really come here to do? Yes. So, but because Nigerians, they really choose to be deceived. That's why at every election cycle, they come back to deceive you, to deceive the electorate once again. So when you talk about poverty, it's also the fact that, you see, there are certain myths that we have allowed to persist over the years, and that is a food basket. What is food basket? Every state can be a food basket. Every state in Nigeria can be a food basket. I mean, I understand some nations are now growing rice in the desert. Every state in this country can be a food basket. Benue, their status as food basket derives largely from subsistence farming. But if you get involved in modern practice of agriculture, commercial agriculture, greenhouse farming, aquaculture, aquaponics, things like that, of course, you can be the food basket of the nation. So you don't even need a lot of these things, I mean, how are we producing milk in Nigeria? The answer is no. So what really are these Fulani herdsmen actually grabbing lands for? What are they really grabbing lands for? What are these terrorists, why are they terrorizing farmers for? Do you know that there are countries where people practice urban farming, urban agriculture? They build a structure, a residential structure on a part of the land, and then on another part, they cultivate food. Now, you see Nigerians growing yams in their bags and all of it. Yeah, because all this are, due to frustration with the system. Nigerians are tired of the same excuses being, recycled again and again. So they have now decided to chart their own course by themselves. So it's not about food basket or no food basket. If they are not serious about fixing the state, then let's be intentional and deliberate about getting, food supply. And that is why you will see that Nigerian Republic closes border. But the other day, an aide to the president, Sunday Dare, was displaying pictures on X, Twitter, about the Kanu to Maradi rail project. He was so proud to display it. That tells you what we call priority. That tells you what we call priority. I mean, if we had railway all over the country, people can actually rear livestock in any part of the country, anywhere, any part of the country. All you just need to do is grow napier grass, and then some of the other things that these livestock need. You'll be able to, raise livestock anywhere. The world has gone beyond all those assumptions, those subsistence ways of doing things. We've gone beyond that. But that is what our leaders don't understand. Thank you.
Very, very true, Emeka. And just before we end for today, it's very important that we remind everyone that today is the International Day of the Boy Child. And it, of course, speaks about the mental health for the boy child and how that it's very important that we protect the boy child. Of course, it's said that when you raise a woman, that you raise a family. But the question is, without a man, how possible will the home be maintained? Emeka, in 60 seconds, if you may. Today is the International Day of the Boy Child. What's your take on that?
Yeah, congratulations to the boys. all of us are boys.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we are all boys. No matter the age, you know, we are still young at heart.
Yeah,
we are boys. True. You know, we are still the sons of our mothers and fathers, you know, and of our mentors. You know, let me not forget to add that. So
yes,
it is important. It is important not to, in trying to develop programs for, you know, to build programs for development of children, you know, now try to bring in a form, you know, bring in inequality in certain times, you know, oh, talk more about the welfare of the girl child than that of the boy child. Everybody is important. And it's important that we raise, you know, boys who become men, who can become self-assured, confident, hardworking, and reliable and honest men in future. It is very important for society to do that. Look at the fellows we have in government here. Those ones do those ones fit into these qualities? So it is important that we raise a country, a nation of men, you know, who fear God and who care about the society and who work to make sure that the society, you know, advances in positive and progressive terms.
So very, very true. You know, because one would wonder, 80% of those who lead us in this country are boys that have become men. But the truth of the matter is, how is our society feeling today, knowing that in their hands are the opportunity to make Nigeria a better place, but they have woefully failed in doing that. And so I love to believe that today is a day, if it's possible, that they all would reconcile the fact that in their hands is the future of Nigerians, the future of Nigerian children, especially those in different IDP camps scattered around the country. It's an opportunity for those in authority to, of course, do something about that and maybe, if possible, reduce that particular trend. And just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. DHQ debunks a viral video of Borno attack. House advances bill to penalize non-voters. That in a beat is still Enterprise Friday. Please don't go anywhere.